Welcome to The Real Deal, where it's all about businesses in central Massachusetts and northeastern Connecticut. And now, your host, Anthony Chabot of Chabot & Associates.
Hey everybody, and welcome to The Real Deal. My name is Anthony Chabot from Chabot & Associates Real Estate Group of Keller Williams, and I have right in front of me the person that I've been really looking forward to interviewing for a really long time, Gary Osbrey, otherwise known as Gary O from WINY Radio. Welcome to the show, Gary.
Thank you, Tony. Thank you very much. And you have been very persistent, my friend, and it's a pleasure to be on your show.
Well, thank you so much for agreeing to be on the show, and there are so many things for us to talk about, so we might as well get right to it. But before we do, I just want to give an overview. Gary O, as everybody knows him in northeastern Connecticut, has, in my opinion, he's been more of a public figure and more of a public supporter than anybody that I can think of in my lifetime. Gary and Karen have done more for northeastern Connecticut than anybody that I can think of, and I've really spent a lot of time in northeastern Connecticut, and I've been part of a lot of business associations and a part of a lot of towns in northeastern Connecticut. And I've been listening to Gary O, and he's not going to love that I say this, but since I was a little kid, basically.
I get that a
lot. He started really young in the business. Yeah. So I remember when I was in the kitchen, when I was a little kid, my mom would be cooking dinner, and I'd actually be in the dining room next to her. She would always have the WINY radio running in the background, and she'd always call and try to win the contests and stuff. So I've been listening to Gary O, I'm pretty sure, since I was probably around the age of about 8 years old, and he's always been a huge part of northeastern Connecticut. And over the years, also, as I've been part of different business associations and part of the town of Putnam, a lot of the events that have happened in northeastern Connecticut, he's been a huge part of. We'll touch on some of those. I'm going to get as many of them as I can. But the river fire is one of them. And we also worked on I did a video for the town of Putnam for the flood of 55, kind of a history, and Gary was kind enough to agree to host that video, which is available on YouTube, but it's also available on the WINY website. I think it's my number one video, probably because of your website promotion.
You know, I hear about that frequently. People mention the video, and that they've seen the video, and they say, "Oh, you look different then. You had a mustache, and I was heavier then too." But your production was fabulous on that. You put together. All I did was do some voiceover, which was the real easy part. You did the heavy lifting, Tony, and you made a really nice video.
Well, I appreciate that, Gary. Thank you so much. So let's get into the way I like to start this podcast out. Typically, is we talk about where you were born, where you went to school, all that stuff. Sure. So let's get started with where was Gary O born?
I was born in Providence, Rhode Island, and grew up in West Warwick, Rhode Island for the first 6 years of my life. And then we moved to Coventry, Rhode Island, and that's where I went to school and high school. And so I'm a Rhode Islander. I find out, I realize the older I get, not only am I a Rhode Islander in terms of where I'm from, but I am a New Englander. I'm dyed in the wool. I love New England. I love everything about it. All 4 seasons. I like winter, Tony. I like snow. I love hot, humid weather. And of course, spring and fall are just delightful. But I truly enjoy living in New England.
I'm with you on that. I love New England. I'm not opposed to nicer weather when it gets to be about 4 feet of snow in northeastern Connecticut. But so you are definitely a true New Englander. But let's get into so you were born in Providence and you grew up in West Warwick and then Coventry.
Yes.
I love Rhode Island, by the way.
Yeah.
I'm a huge Rhode Island fan, and if I could choose anywhere in New England to live, it would be Rhode Island. I almost moved to Rhode Island about a year ago. I decided not to because my kids live over here still, and it'd be too far for me. But.
Well, now I came here when I was 20 years old with no intention of staying, but now that I'm here and, I grew some roots here, Karen has her marching orders. When I croak, I need to be buried in Putnam soil is where I need to have my final resting place. Needs to be Putnam soil. So, I love being here in Putnam, Connecticut.
So, what happened? What got you first into radio broadcasting? Can you give us a little overview?
Yeah, I was a nerdy kid listening to the radio all the time. I mean, absolutely glued to the radio. Come home from school, put the radio on. I had the radio, that little radio that went on the handlebars of your bicycle. I had that radio. If I was out in the yard, raking, helping in the yard, I had a radio going. Always had a radio. And I would call for all the contests. I was a real pest, calling after school every day, requesting songs, trying to win tickets. I'd say to my mother, "Mom, we got to go to the car dealership this Saturday because the radio station's going to be there." And she'd be like, "We don't need a car." I'm like, "Yeah, but they're giving away records, Mom. I got to get a record." And I would drag my mother to the live broadcast. The radio station was 1450 AM in West Warwick. It was WSVP at the time, and now they were WKRI. Oddly enough, that's where I ended up getting my first job when I was 16 years old.
So your first job was 16. Is that the picture that you have out in the lobby here?
Yeah, that's from the picture in the lobby is actually from my high school radio station. So now fast forward to Coventry High School. I go to Coventry High School. Our high school was grades 10 through 12. I walk into high school, first day in the school, grade 10. I heard earlier before I got to high school that they had a radio station. So now I can't wait to get to high school to be on this radio station. And I go to my first day of school, September of 1976, high school, and I go straight to the radio station. Before I go to homeroom, I go straight to the radio station. I sign up. There's a sign-up sheet, and they had a meeting at the end of the day for all the new kids signing up. And I joined the radio station and spent 3 great years at Coventry High School, completely wrapped up and involved in that radio station. I learned all the basics of broadcasting. I was the production manager in my junior year. I was the program director, top dog in the senior year, my senior year. And that experience that I gained in high school, I made my little audition tape, and I went to that local radio station, the real radio station in West Warwick, and I got a job in the summer of 1978. I've just celebrated 40 years in broadcasting. So I made my little tape at the high school radio station, and I got a job at the local radio station, getting paid. I was the afternoon DJ on Saturday and Sunday afternoons, 2 to 6 p.m., and I started in the summer of 1978. I still had my whole senior year ahead of me at Coventry High School. So I go back to school after Labor Day, and I got teachers. I'm going to class. Teachers are saying, "Hey, I heard you on WKRI. I listened to you. You sound great." And, of course, other kids. So that was pretty cool. So for my whole senior year, I worked weekends at the local radio station, plus I was still very involved in the high school radio stations. I was working at two stations. So I started really young. I got into it really young.
So what happened after high school? So you continued to work at that same radio station,
Yeah.
the real radio station you were talking about in West
Sure.
Warwick?
So I graduated in 1979 and took on more hours at WKRI in West Warwick. By then, they had me doing everything. I was the live broadcast guy, and I always said yes. Gary, you want to do a live broadcast from the haunted house? Yep. You want to do a live broadcast from the home show? Yep. They set me up once at the what did they call it at the time? The Midland Mall. The Midland Mall.
I remember the Midland Mall.
Okay, Midland Mall.
I used to go there all the time.
Gary, you want to work for 2 weeks? Sure. You're going to go do the home show at the Midland Mall Monday through Friday. You're going to broadcast from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. 5 days a week for 2 weeks. I'm like, yeah, great, extra hours, And I'm like, 17, 18 years old, broadcasting from the home show, saying, "Tell me about your insulated windows. Tell me about your boilers and furnaces." Like I knew what I was talking about. So I took on as many hours as I could after graduation. I immediately, by the way, after graduation, got a second job at WSAR in Fall River, Massachusetts. Mm-hmm. So now I'm right out of high school. I got 2 jobs in radio. And then I went to the bank and borrowed $3,000 and bought a DJ business. So now I got a DJ business. I didn't go to college. Coming out of high school. So I took on as many hours as I could. I still had my Monday through Fridays, 8 to 5 traditional hours were still not booked. My weekends were nuts with 2 radio stations plus a DJ business. So I got a job at a mill. I worked at a mill. So
on top of all of that,
so right out of high school, I'm doing 40 hours at a mill,
Wow.
7 a.m. to 3 p.m.
Yeah.
Engineered yarns in Coventry, Rhode Island.
Yeah.
Working 2 radio stations on the weekends, plus running a DJ business. So just working like an animal, That's really all I've ever known. And so now the goal was get the first full-time job in radio. So when I turned the corner in the end of 1980. I got my first full-time job in radio in Woonsocket, Rhode Island at WNRI. I started in the afternoons. They moved me to the morning show. I did mornings. I was a production manager. and then I dropped WSAR, kept WKRI, still had 2 stations going, still had the DJ business. And then I came here in, I started here the day before my 20th birthday. It was October of 1981. I came here, I left Woonsocket, came here full-time in the afternoon. I was the afternoon DJ.
So how did you find out about here? And was here WINY?
My friend Bobby Allen, whom I worked with at WKRI, was working here. He had the shift, and so he was working the morning shift at WKRI, the afternoon shift at WINY, working himself insane. We all worked like nuts. That's what we did. We just worked.
So we have Bobby Allen to thank.
Bobby Allen. So Bobby Allen was my best friend, and Bobby Allen was going to leave this job, and I wasn't really happy up in Woonsocket. I wanted to do something else, and he says, "Tell you what, I got you a job and a girlfriend." Exact words. His exact words. "I got you a job and a girlfriend." I said, "What?" He says, "I'm quitting my job at WINY. You should go apply for it." So I came down and made another tape. I came down and I spoke to Mike Girardi, and I had an interview, and then I called him every day. "Mr. Girardi, it's Gary O calling, Gary Osbrey calling. Have you made a decision yet?" And I wore him down, and he finally said, all right. And he hired me, and I got the job. And I started in October of 1981, again, the day before my 20th birthday. And I met Karen here. She was working here. She was the traffic director.
Okay, right.
So she was here before me. And so my friend Bobby, years later, died in a car accident. And it was in Rhode Island. And I was so broken up to lose such a good friend, my friend Bobby Allen. And I always know that someday we'll meet again. We'll meet again someday. And when I do, I'm going to say, "Bob, you were right, man. You got me a job and a girlfriend. It worked out." And I can't wait to thank him for that. So that was pretty. I got here because of Bob.
That's a great,
my friend Bob Allen.
A great introduction to the background for Gary O.
Sure.
That's excellent. I love that story. So we were talking about this. I met up with you about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. You were outside of 85 Main, and I happened to just be walking along, taking a look around because it was a beautiful night with the sunset in downtown Putnam. And you and I we both very much love our town. It's funny, I don't even live here anymore, but I consider it my town still. But the downtown area in downtown Putnam across Main Street, where all the patio seating is for all the restaurants, if you happen to be in that area at sunset, it's a beautiful experience to be up in that area. There's so much going on right in the downtown Putnam area. And so anyway, when I met up with you over there, we had a long conversation about and that's when you agreed to do the interview that we're doing right now. So we talked. It seemed like it was about 10 minutes, but I think it was quite a bit longer than that because I looked at my watch after I left, and I was surprised at how long we had been talking.
It was a nice conversation.
It really was. So I'm so happy that you agreed to do this interview because you're one of the most interesting people in northeastern Connecticut, and
That's very kind of you.
We could talk. We could do this over and over and just talk about. I love that what you do on WINY with Remember When on Fridays.
Yeah, that's a lot of fun. That started on a lark on a Friday. I don't know, over 20 years ago, I think.
Yeah, I always love chiming in. I'm not chiming in, but listening in on it and trying to place what you guys are talking about. Yeah. So you came into Putnam and you got a job at WINY, and
I had no intention of staying here, by the way, because I was young and I wanted to end up in Los Angeles at 93 KHJ.
I saw that.
That was my goal, and I had no intention. I thought I'd live a life where every couple of years load up the U-Haul and take off and go to the next station, the next market, and that's really what I thought I'd be doing, what I kind of wanted to do. I met Karen, and of course we get serious, and she's very family oriented. And we would talk, and I'd tell her my dreams, and she would say, "Well, aren't you going to miss your family? Won't you miss your family doing that?" And I got to be honest with you, I didn't even think of that. I was just thinking about being in radio, and I'm like, well, yeah, I would miss my family, and my mom and dad, and my brothers and sisters, of course, and we have a very close family. And I thought about that, and she was kind of right. And then a lot of things happened at the same time. I fell in love with Karen, and this community embraced me, Tony. I mean, I was as outsider as you can be when I came here. I didn't grow up here, and back in 1981, it meant more than it does today. Things like, there's some of that today, but back then it was even more prevalent. Where'd you go to high school? Oh, was your father so and so? Everyone knew your father. Everyone knew your older brother. Everyone knew, where you went to high school. I come in, Osbrey. What's an Osbrey? Never. No one's ever heard this name. No one knows who I am. Mm-hmm. A real stranger. And this community, Tony, embraced me, and I felt it, and it was real. Right from the moment I got here, that meant a lot to me. That really meant a lot to me, to be so welcomed. So they gave me love, and I gave them love right back. And I did fall in love with northeastern Connecticut. No regrets that we stayed here.
I can understand why you would decide to not move away. Of course, everybody has that feeling, I think, but we're really happy that you did stay.
Thanks. And it is not. There's two ways to go in this business. You do like I said. You're always striving for the next market, go to the next market, or you throw your anchor down and grow some roots. There's two ways to go. I have no regrets that I did it this way. I know a lot of guys who went the other way, and you get to a certain point, and it's good, and you got all these great stations and markets on your resume, and then it ends, you get fired. It's just the way it is. You get canned, something happens, they change the format, and then that's it. And here, I have roots, and we built things, and we. And now I own the place, too, so that's nice. So
can we talk a little bit about when you first started working at WINY, who was the current owner?
Well, it was Nutmeg Broadcasting at the time. Mike Girardi was the general manager. And
is there a connection with Girardi Insurance to that? It's his brother,
That's
right?
his brother. Yeah, Mike Girardi, who then bought the station, and then I bought it from Mike. His brother, Bob, started Girardi Insurance. Okay. And the Girardi family, a big line of businesses. Mike's father owned Libby's Market. Weta Girardi owned Libby's. It was Girardi Super Saver. Then he sold it to Libby when it became Libby's Market in 1977. And I think Mike had an uncle who owned a clothing store. There was a clothing store downtown. The Girardis owned a lot of stuff. I think there were some tie-ins with Putnam Country Club also, which is where the Black Dog Bar and Grill, that was Putnam Country Club.
Right, was J.D. Cooper's before.
The stables and all that stuff. So the Girardis owned a lot of stuff. Mike worked for Nutmeg Broadcasting. They owned, and Herb Rice owned that, and they owned WILI in Willimantic. They owned WNTY in Stonington, and LIS in Old Saybrook. They owned all those stations, and WINY. And then Mike bought it from Nutmeg Broadcasting, and then I bought it from Mike.
So how long did you work here before?
20 years before I bought it.
Before you bought it? I think I remember when you bought it,
20 years,
actually.
yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty big news.
Yeah, and you know what? That was a cool day, too. Channel 3 came down. Channel 3 did a story the day it was announced that we bought the station, which was pretty cool. But what was really neat was the cards and letters and stacks of cards and flowers showing up. I didn't see that coming. I just didn't see that coming, It was a very pleasant surprise. It was really nice.
Well, I think I speak for the entire community of northeastern Connecticut when I say that, what you do for northeastern Connecticut, everybody sees it. And it might not come across to you when you're out doing the music and the broadcasting for the river fires, and people are just out there enjoying the experience of being out there for the river fire. You might not realize it, but everybody in the back of their mind is probably thinking to themselves, that Gary O is a pretty good guy.
I hope they're thinking that. I hope they're not thinking, geez, I'm getting sick of that guy.
He does a lot for our community, and look how selfless you are with everything that you do. All the work that you and Karen do, the flower garden that's going on at Rotary Park with the new statue over there, Karen with the president of the PBA, and all the work that's gone on in northeastern Connecticut, all the community promotions that you do for businesses, all the events that you cover. You are the voice of northeastern Connecticut.
That's kind of you to say that. I cannot even begin to take all the credit for things that have happened here, because we've been blessed with a dynamic group of people who care deeply about their community and in many different walks of life, whether it's on the political side or the town government side, the business side. And you're very generous, Tony, with all the things you've said, but I think we've been really blessed here with people who care deeply about the community and about making this a great community. And I compare it to like a potluck supper. You know, what makes a great potluck supper is when everyone brings a really good dish to the table, right? Putnam is like this amazing potluck supper where everyone is bringing their best to the table. Hey, I can do this. Hey, I can do that. Well, I can do this. I can do the radio part and do the thing I do and help promote things. And we all put our best foot forward, Tony, and the result is just this incredible meal. And that's what we have going on here. It's because I think a lot of people are on the same page and a lot of people really care.
I don't know what it is about Putnam that just everybody has.
It brings out the best in people, doesn't it?
It really does.
Yeah.
And I talked to so many people about this. I was interviewing Matt DeZonia about 2 weeks ago or so. Very similar conversation when it comes to the community and the PBA and all the things that are going on in northeastern Connecticut, but specifically Putnam. There's something. There's some magic here. There is, and I always say this, but I wish the other towns in the area, and of course, some of them really do. People love Woodstock. Yeah. People love Pomfret. Killingly, we're getting there. I live in Killingly now, and part of the KBA.
Oh, sure. And there's good things happening in Killingly.
There are good
really
things happening. There are good things, and it seems like it is taking a turn for the better from what I can tell. The pavement in downtown Danielson.
Spectacular.
What a difference that made. Yeah. Great. It looks so much better. And actually, there are little pieces of the puzzle that are coming together. But back to Putnam again, there is just something about Putnam. I'm not quite sure what it is. I wasn't always like that either. When I came in to Putnam, back when the antiques thing first happened with Jerry Cohen, I would come to Putnam occasionally, and there was a feeling that you would get when you would walk around downtown Putnam, and it was like this special feeling that you don't get anywhere else in northeastern Connecticut. And you would walk from shop to shop, and it was just this kind of like I think it was they had music going back in the speakers out. So I think it might have had something to do with the speakers, with the music, the holiday festivities that were going on, going from antique shop to antique shop. There was just this feeing that you get.
The holiday, we do the holiday. The actual amplifier for the holiday music is in my basement. We set it up every year.
So that was your idea?
I don't know.
Was it? Or I don't remember whose
idea it was. I've been doing it forever. I don't remember whose idea it was.
Right. It doesn't matter whose idea it was.
I just remember. Part of it. Yes. The amp.
Big part of it.
I install the amp every year and take it out every year. So
you do. You provide the music to downtown Putnam, and then you provide the music to the River Fires.
I think we had CDs. We were playing CDs back in the day. Now it's all on an iPod, an old iPod that we just keep spinning here. But
the music makes a big difference.
Yeah, it does. It's nice.
It sets the mood. I really like it a lot. It's a huge addition, and it sets the mood, and you just feel great when you're walking around downtown Putnam and there's music playing. And something about that, I don't know what it is.
I think some of the magic here, is the fact that we know what we are. We're not a big town. We're not a big city. We're a small town. We're a modest town. We know that. We're very much aware of that. So we're trying to say, hey, how can we make this nice? What can we do to make this nice? I know, let's put in a river trail. And I remember when Beth Murphy was the economic development director back then, and they put in the river trail. That was huge. That river trail was spectacularly huge. When they put in the Owentar Sports Complex, prior to the river trail, they put a little walking trail around that. There was like a party in Putnam because we had this paved walking trail around the Owentar Sports Complex. When they put the lights in, party time. Oh my God, we have lights. This is great. Then the river trail came. They tore down the old bandstand. We built this new bandstand. Oh my God, we have a nice bandstand. The St. Marie Greenhall Sports Complex was huge. It was years in the making. Oh my God, we have a beautiful sports complex. We just click it off. It's like slow and steady wins the race. It's tortoise and hare stuff. We just kept doing one good thing after another, and another good thing, and another good thing. In terms of the business climate downtown, which has its own, a life of its own that you can't totally control, it just happens. All the stores closed. Oh my God, what are we going to do? All these great stores are closing. Bugbee's is closing. Aldrich Jewelers is closing. Grube's Camera Shop is closing. What are we going to do? Then the antiques came in, and God bless the antiques, man, because that saved us for the whole decade of the 90s. Mm-hmm. The 90s were that was the antiques decade. We were known as the antiques capital of New England. Mm-hmm. It was Paul Grahams and Pennyweights, Paul Kenyon, Paul Kenyon was the man who started antiques in Putnam.
Oh, really? I don't know anything about
Paul Kenyon, Grams and Pennyweights, right across
I do remember the
from
name.
the Bradley Playhouse. I think it was Wyndham Medical. It was Wyndham Medical, and I guess prior to that, I think perhaps the Western Auto Store.
What did he do?
Paul Kenyon says around 1988, I want to say.
What did he sell?
He says, I'm going to open an antique store in Putnam. Everything's closing. Everybody's panicking. This is going to be great. We're going to have antiques in Putnam. This is going to be the antiques capital. Everyone looked at him and said, "You're crazy. You're crazy.
Oh, wow.
That's not going to happen." But he was so determined, and he made it happen. He opened it. He started it. He predicted it, and it happened. We were the antiques capital. Sherry Socher from Socher Art Gallery and Arts and Framing says, I don't know when this was now, but late 90s, I guess, I'm going to open an art studio. And everyone said, "You're crazy. Art? This is Putnam. An art studio? No way. I'm telling you, I'm going to open an art studio." And she opened Socher Art Gallery and put up that sign that says art on the building. It's still up there.
Oh, really?
Tim,
she did that?
Her partner Tim, put it up there, her business partner. And she opened our eyes. I mean, Paul opened our eyes to antiques and possibilities.
Is it Tim Oliver?
Tim Oliver,
Oh,
yeah.
okay, yeah.
And Sherry Socher and Tim Oliver opened our eyes to art. Yeah, they can be. And then the art came. The art followed. And then the restaurants. I remember when, we had like the Vine was doing their thing, which was kind of cool.
Yeah.
Guido Murphy's, the Vine,
Oh, yeah.
and Someplace Special. That was downtown. The town overall wasn't that busy. They all had their little thing going on. But the Courthouse Bar and Grill, I thought that was a real turning point, a tipping point for downtown Putnam when Sheila and James Frost and Mike Deary made an investment, a big build out, and opened this restaurant. And they said we're going to be non-smoking. Everyone said, "You're crazy, non-smoking. You can't do that." Well, they did it, and their restaurant was a huge success. And I think people felt comfortable after that. Like, hey, let's open restaurants. Look at the Courthouse. Look what they're doing. They were trendsetters in downtown. Sherry Socher was a trendsetter. And way back when, Paul Kenyon was a trendsetter, and then the Andersons with Victoria Station Cafe when that opened, that was pretty cool.
I was their first customer.
Yeah, a coffee shop in Putnam. What? Come on, it's Putnam,
Yeah.
and and that's part of our charm. We underestimate ourselves sometimes.
I was so excited when they came to town.
Yeah.
I was waiting for a coffee shop because I love coffee. I've always loved coffee. And I drove all over New England, and there's coffee shops all over the place, but there was never a really good coffee shop around here that I could remember, like real espresso cafe type coffee shop. So I was waiting at their door the day that they opened. Somebody told me they were opening the next day. I showed up at 7 a.m. with a $20 bill, and he's got a picture of me. I was the first person at his register.
Awesome. Well, that's a great claim to fame right there.
It is.
That's really cool. And then the alfresco dining, the Jezerins started that with the alfresco dining. Everyone said, "You're crazy. Well, you can't take up these parking spots. These are great parking spots. What? Where are we going to park?" And we got it. And now I can't imagine Putnam without the alfresco dining. Going back to the bandstand, we had a vote on the bandstand. It lost by one vote. By one vote, it got voted down. So they had to go back to the drawing board and cut back on the plans, and they reproposed, and it passed. And it only passed by a handful of votes.
I vaguely remember that as well.
But now, can you imagine our town without the bandstand?
Oh, it's such a
you
huge
can't
part.
imagine Putnam without the bandstand.
It's such a
but
huge
getting
part.
it wasn't easy. Getting the alfresco dining was not easy.
I remember that. Yeah.
Getting the municipal complex here required quite an effort. I'm so delighted today with the vote
That was
in Putnam for that municipal complex. That's a step forward for us.
It's a big deal.
Yeah, it sure is.
I just talked to Rick Hayes about that also, and he was had some good information about it too. What's going to be there, when he thinks it's going to be the groundbreaking, the first shovel in the ground, stuff like that.
It's clearly hands down the most important vote in our community since I've been here since 1981. Hands down, the most important vote for our town was that municipal complex.
I think it's important that people try to stay in touch, because the hard thing for me is staying in touch with what's going on in the area, because I really don't. I don't have cable. I don't have satellite. I don't listen to the radio really in general. I watch your Facebook Live videos every chance I get, because that's how I tune into northeastern Connecticut. I listen sometimes if I'm on the road. I'll listen to the WINY through the app. Is it iTunes?
TuneIn Radio.
TuneIn Radio. That's the one. But in general, I don't really pay attention to politics or news. Yeah. So it's really hard for people to actually stay up to date on what's going on. And
no, it's not hard.
Well, it's
not hard at all.
You have to make an effort, though.
Yeah.
But it's
well, you have to make an effort to do everything you do in life. You have to make an effort.
But what you do here is you keep people involved in what's going on. And I think maybe that's one of the reasons why Putnam loves Putnam. Like, the people from around here love Putnam so much, because although you represent all of northeastern Connecticut, you're right here in Putnam.
Yeah.
Danielson doesn't really have a voice like Putnam has a voice. Danielson doesn't really have a Gary O, you know? So, I don't know, it's kind of interesting to look at it a little bit like that.
Well, we serve the entire region.
I know you don't play favorites, but you're right here. You look out
Killing,
your window.
yeah, I understand, but we got to be somewhere, so this is where we happen to be. But Killingly's on my show every week. Every week, the KBA. I am such a fan of what they're doing in Killingly, and good things are going to happen in Killingly. They're going to happen. It's tortoise and hare stuff again. You just have to keep on, stay focused and forget about the critics too. The critics will make you crazy. You just can't listen to the critics. There's a lot of people who want to hold back progress in every town, every project, and you just got to keep moving forward. You can't stop moving forward.
I love your positive attitude, and you're absolutely right. There are always going to be the naysayers.
Always. They're never going away. Ever. They'll never, ever go away.
But you just have to look. If
you listen to them, you'll never know or experience progress or success.
But I think you just have to look around and see what's going on, and I think it's starting to become a little clearer that things are getting better in Danielson in general.
Oh, they sure are. Yeah.
It looks like the Springtime Festival, the Spring Fest is coming back. I love the Spring Fest.
Me too.
That was a huge part of my growing up in northeastern Connecticut, and I was really disappointed when they stopped doing the whole thing. Yeah. And now that they brought it back again, I'm pretty excited, especially if we get nice weather on that day. It's a great day in Danielson.
And you know what? That's Willie. Willie and I have collaborated on projects since since '86, I think. We've done a lot of things. And one thing we've learned over the years, because we've done so many events over the years, is you have to, events, they run their course, and you have to know when to end it, A lot of people put things on life support. I mean, it's declining, it's over, but let's put it on life support. Mm-hmm. And Willie and I are never, when it's over, it's over. Mm-hmm. And the Holiday Dazzle Light Parade, I never thought would get 17 years out of this. When we started
Another one. Yeah,
when we started it, we said, you know what, gang, if we can get 10 years out of this would be great. This will be the 17th year. It's not showing any signs of stopping. But I promise you, when it does decline and when it is over, we'll end it, and we'll invent something else. Mm-hmm. We'll do something else. You know what I mean? And you can't be afraid to do that. And it's okay that Springtime Festival went away. It's okay. It declined, and it was fine. Let it go. And it's great that they're doing something new.
Yeah, it is. And it is good.
My advice on that is, when something's over, just end it. Mm-hmm. Invent something else.
Yeah, definitely. Move on to the next exciting thing that you have more enthusiasm for, because you lost your enthusiasm for the other thing.
We did this beach party. We started a beach party. I said, Willie, I got an idea. What? This is in the 80s or something. We're going to have a beach party. What? Yeah, we're going to have tiki torches at Rotary Park. We'll get a band, with all Hawaiian shirts, and there was a little paved parking lot at Rotary Park. Let's see if the town can fill the parking lot with sand. We'll have a sand castle building contest. We'll bring in surfboards. It'll be great. Willie said, okay. So we had a beach party. It was a blast. We did this for, 3 or 4 years, maybe longer. And it was popular, and then it started to decline. And as soon as it started to decline, we pulled the plug. We said, okay, that's over. Let's do something else. And then we just invented something else.
Was that before the River Fire, obviously?
Oh, yeah, way before the River Fire, yeah.
So how did the River Fire come about? Were you part of that from the inception?
Yeah. So the River Fire was, I went to Providence and saw the River Fire. We're blatantly ripping off Providence. And And I remember bugging Willie. I said, Willie, you got to come see this. It's unbelievable. You're going to love this. You're going to love it. And Willie was like, yeah, okay, whatever. And finally one night I said, we're going this Saturday night. Get in the car. So we all got in the car. We went to Riverfire. Well, Willie loved it, of course. He just had to see it. I guess I wasn't explaining it well. So now Willie and I go to the mayor's office and we pitch this idea to the mayor. We've got the mayor and we've got, it was Beth Murphy from economics. She was still here, the economic development director. And we enthusiastically pitched Riverfire. And they were kind of lukewarm. And I don't think they did anything that first year. We pitched it. And then it went to, and then they said, okay, well, we're going to need some startup money, about $10,000 to start it up to build the pots and everything.
Right.
Send it to the Board of Finance. They voted down. Board of Finance kicked it back, voted it down for, I don't know, 3 years, I think. It was like 3 or 4 years, maybe longer.
Oh, wow.
Now, it may have been 5 now that I think of it.
Before they actually started?
That we said, let's do Riverfire, but we kept coming back.
Yeah.
We kept saying, come on. And they kept putting it in, and it get kicked out of Board of Finance. They would kill it. And then it was the sesquicentennial year. 2005 was the sesquicentennial year. They had some extra money budgeted. They wanted to do some nice things, some different things. And they said, hey, you know what? Maybe we'll do that Riverfire thing this year. Mm-hmm. And Bobby Vians, who was running for mayor, got behind it and thought it was a good idea. So the Board of Finance kept the $10,000 in. We got the startup money. They built the pots, and we debuted it during the sesquicentennial year. The year you made that video was the first year we had the Riverfire. And it was an instant success. So we've been doing it, for 13 years or whatever. But perseverance, because the answer was no. The answer was no for like 4 or 5 years.
Wow.
So you got to keep coming.
It's been that long.
Yeah, you got to keep coming back.
It doesn't seem like it's been that long. So you're saying Riverfire's been going on for 13 years now?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. It seems to me like it's only been about 6 years, honestly. Time really flies, though.
Well, actually, technically, we just finished our 14th season.
Wow, that's
because 2005
amazing.
was the first season. We just finished our 14th season.
I can't believe how some people have different reactions to the Riverfire.
Yeah.
I absolutely love it, and I think it's a huge event. Everybody should attend it at least once, because you might just really fall in love with the whole thing. The fire on the water.
Yeah.
There's something about that.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. It's like a caveman thing.
Peaceful. Yeah, it's very primal.
Yeah.
It's a very primal experience.
And I love the selection of music that you choose, too. It has this eeriness to it a little bit. I like that. And they also do the same thing in Providence Waterfire.
Yeah.
If anybody hasn't been to the Providence Waterfire also, definitely make that on your list.
Oh, that's the granddaddy of the
You
world.
have to go to
It's
that.
fabulous. It's a whole different experience. It's 20,000 people.
Right. Yeah, it's great, though.
But there's something really neat about ours. It's a smaller experience, but it's more, I guess what's the word? I guess organic, meaning there's more soft spaces. Providence is all hard surfaces. It's all cobblestone, sidewalk, pavement. There's no soft surfaces.
Right.
Okay, you're on pavement, cobblestones, or sidewalk. And there's tons of people. You come here, there's soft spaces. There's grass, and there's trees, and I just think it's a really neat experience.
Nobody else is just Providence and Putnam, as far as I know. I've never seen.
No, a lot of little towns.
Are there
I think
do it?
Westerly does a version of it. I think Stafford has done a version of it. A lot of towns have done their version.
I've never
of it.
seen any other town but us in Providence. But there's just countless. I mean, we could probably take a look at this wall over here of all the plaques in your office and go one by one and probably take hours and talk about all of the projects.
Such a ridiculous pride wall. It's shameful, actually. But I got to tell you something. Okay, every single award on that wall, you got to do something with them, right? So I put them on the wall in my office. Every one of them was unexpected. Unexpected. I never asked for a plaque, never set out to receive a plaque. I've just been doing what I do consistently for decades. This is what we do. We say yes when people ask. We find a way to say yes, lend a helping hand, try to do good things for our community. And that all that stuff just comes. Next thing you know, they're knocking on your door saying, hey, we're going to give you an award. I'm like, that's nice, but I would have done what we did anyway, with or without an award. So the awards were not a goal. That was never a goal.
Right.
Or like this is what I set out to obtain. It just happened. And I tell people that all the time. Just do what you do. Just do it well. They'll find you. They'll like you. They'll reward you. Just let that happen. Don't force it.
It is a nice memory, though, and it's a nice reminder of all the things that you've done and all the people that took the time to make those awards for you. Yeah. It is important that you hang them up, because otherwise, all their effort that they went into getting you that recognition.
I just look so boastful, though. It's really ridiculous.
Well, I would like to actually go through one of the maybe we could. I mean, there's literally hours worth of conversation in there.
I'm on decks. There's stacks of them. I haven't even hung them yet.
So I don't think there's anybody that's been more decorated on public community help and promotion than you. That's why I can't thank you enough, and I think all of northeastern Connecticut can't thank you enough for all of your contributions that you've. All of the things that you've done for our whole area.
You're too kind. You're killing me. It's a team effort, man. It's a team effort.
There's
a
like
great
this.
team here.
I'm a very appreciative person, and I think that it comes through maybe a little bit too much on the podcast sometimes, because when there's somebody that I'm talking to that I am very appreciative of, it just I just keep talking. I keep saying it.
We have a beautiful community here, and that's my wife and I. We always say it. We want to live in a nice community, so we're willing to do our part to make it a nice community, as are so many other people. What was one of the first things that you were involved with in Putnam, as far as that type of thing? Getting involved in community events and projects that are probably happening. The hospital. Ron Kader reached out and he asked me to help out with a phone-a-thon at Day Kimball Hospital. I ran his phone-a-thon for 10 or 12 years, maybe longer. I ran his phone-a-thon for 2 weeks every year at Day Kimball Hospital. That was one of the first things, I think, that I did around here.
And then what were some of the other bigger things that you've been involved with, too? The River Fire, the Holiday Dazzle Light Parade.
The Car Cruise Committee. Of course, everything I can think of is recent memory. I forget about some of the old stuff.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure it goes way back. The music in downtown.
We did the Cargill Falls concert series. Who's the new mayor? It's escaping me now. Republican mayor.
Barney Sine.
No, it was just before Donald Sine. Sam Roberts. Mayor Sam Roberts comes to town, okay? Nice guy.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about Putnam for a second. I was like, wow.
No, Mayor Sam Roberts from Putnam. He's Putnam Mayor Sam Roberts. So he's the new mayor. He says, I want to start a concert series. And Willie was kind of new in the rec department. Willie and I, our friendship and collaboration was new. Yep, the Cargill Falls concert series. Every other Saturday night at Rotary Park, we do concerts. Willie and I did that. I don't know how many summers, and I ran the Rotary trailer for the Rotary Club. So we're selling hot dogs in the trailer, and there were 60 people would come out. But every other Saturday night, we did that for years. The Cargill Falls concert series and stuff like that. You just kind of forget about it. But you know what? The other thing too is do what you do and be consistent. I was doing this stuff in high school. In high school, I was, helping raise money for the high school radio station, standing in front of a store raising money. We did a popcorn sale. I was the number one salesperson of everyone, selling popcorn to raise money for the radio station, stuff like that. I've got awards. I've got newspaper clippings when I was, my first job in radio. I'm standing there looking like a dork, receiving an award from the JC Women for donating my DJ services, to their event in West Warwick, Rhode Island, working Jerry Lewis telethons in Providence for years. We did that with different radio stations and stuff. I just always did this stuff. It's not new. It's just something. When I was 6 years old, I come home from school, no, I'm sorry. I must have been older than that. It was probably more like second or third grade, whatever you are, in second or third grade. My mother says, you're going to go around the neighborhood and collect money for the Hemophilia Foundation. I said, what? She said, yeah, you're going to. I said, what's that? And so I had to learn about it. And I'm knocking on every door in my neighborhood in the second or third grade. Yes, would you like to donate to the Hemophilia Society? What's that? Well, many people do not have the clotting factor, and when they cut themselves, they could bleed to death, and we need to raise money for that. I mean, I'm a second grader, and I'm speaking at length about hemophilia. No one in our family has hemophilia. I don't even know what this is, but my mother told me I'm doing it. I'm knocking on every door in my neighborhood asking people to give money to the Hemophilia Foundation. You just did it. I guess I learned it at home doing this stuff.
So just out of curiosity, what types of things do you see on the horizon for Putnam, or things that you kind of have maybe in the back of your mind that you'd like to tackle in the future? Anything that you can think of off the top of your head?
Well, for us here, we're going to be launching our FM signal, 97.1. I've got a construction permit from the Federal Communications Commission. I was hoping to have it on the air by now, but there's engineering stuff my learning curve is still in progress.
I hadn't even heard of that.
Yeah,
I wasn't aware of that.
So we're going to be putting 97.1 FM on the air here soon. So that's coming for the radio station. And, of course, we just continue to embrace the next thing that comes out in the new platforms, and we're working it all, man. We got, the Facebook going on and Twitter and our YouTube channel, which is a little underutilized, but we have it. So we're always looking at all that stuff. I love all the new stuff, man. I love all the new platforms, and I love working it in multiple platforms. I absolutely adore that stuff.
For me, it's all about Facebook Live. I have to say, I am on Facebook like ridiculous amount of time. I'm always on Facebook. If I'm at the computer, I always have a Facebook window open. And if I'm on the road or, at a restaurant, or if I was sitting here right now, I'd probably have my phone open on Facebook. And I get the notifications that the WINY Facebook Live is, and it says the title of who's being interviewed. And sometimes I have to admit, the titles don't get me interested enough to click on it, but if I see anything that I know anything about, I'll click on those for sure, which is probably about a third of them, I would say.
That's cool that you're on Facebook, but there's way more to life than Facebook, man. I hope you're living a meaningful life, because hanging on Facebook all the time is kind of, that's not. There's more to life than that. There's way more. So rich relationships and all that stuff. You're doing all that, right?
Of course.
That's where it's at. That's where it's at.
That's all I do is talk to people all day long. I take pictures of houses. I talk to people on the phone. I talk to people in person. I'm in every networking group in northeastern Connecticut. Walk up and down Main Street in Putnam for 8 hours on a clip and talk to every single business owner and every single building owner.
That's way more meaningful.
Face
to face. Relationships, sit-downs gatherings with friends. That's the good stuff.
I go out on the town a lot. I'm always out and about at nighttime because I typically work like a 12-hour day or something like that. And then after that, I'll go out and maybe go out and have dinner or have a drink or something like that. But then I spend time with my kids. Go up to New Hampshire with the family a lot.
That's cool. Yeah.
But I work from the time I get up to the time I go to bed, typically, just about every day.
I told you earlier, I didn't go to college, so I think I've always had, I don't want to say a chip on my shoulder, but an awareness, like, okay, I want to be successful in life, and I didn't go to college. So I've always had this fire in my belly, this inner drive, like, okay, what does this mean? I got to work harder. I got to work harder than everyone else. I got to say yes. I have to get there early. I got to work late. And I've always been very much aware of I want to be successful, and I'm just going to have to work harder at it. Vocabulary. I have vocabulary flashcards, and I test myself and all that stuff, and all the things that I've done to compensate for, I don't have a degree. And maybe I put too much emphasis on that. So I knew right from the get-go when I was 17, I got to work hard, man. If I'm going to have any success in life, I got to get out there and really hump it.
Well, everybody has their own opinion on the value of a college education. When I was growing up, you had to have somewhat of a college education. Now, still today, a lot of people believe you still have to have a college education. When I was looking for a job, the reason I am a business owner is because I didn't have a bachelor's degree and I couldn't get a good paying job at a place that I really wanted to work. They needed the bachelor's degree, and I only had the associate's, which was just not quite good enough to get what I was looking for. Plus, I was a computer guy, and a lot of those were contractors, and then they sold them overseas. For the most part, a lot of the computer jobs were sent across the ocean. So unfortunately, we lost out on a lot of technology jobs that way. But I'm very happy. I wouldn't have had it any other way. I'm so happy that I became a business owner because I get to make my own hours, and I get to, of course, I work a lot of them, like as I'm sure you have worked many more hours than you would have at a regular job.
I don't know any other way. This is I don't know any other way to live. It's just this is how I'm wired at this point.
But it is nice.
I know we're running out of time here, but if you're interested, I've had a blessed life, a really blessed life, and a wonderful, wonderful life, and I'm so grateful for everything. But people have regrets. There's regrets in life. You know what my big regret is?
What is that?
My big regret is that I didn't serve in the military. I absolutely, deeply regret that I didn't serve in the military. I wish I would have served my country. I wish I would have taken a break and served my country. And I wish I would have been in the United States Marine Corps.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, because I could have done it. I definitely could have made it. I didn't know it then when I was 17. I know it now. I know it now that I could definitely have made that.
Well,
because the discipline, I buy in. I buy into it. I dig it. I understand it.
You know what though?
I buy into the discipline and the way to do things and the methods.
I agree with you. Definitely, It's an honorable thing, of course. You know, I would have loved to do that as well. But at the same time, you know, in some ways, there's a double-edged sword because what if you go to war and you die?
I understand. I wish I would have served my country.
I understand.
I really do.
I wish I could have served my country too and not had the threat of dying.
Yeah.
Because then I would have definitely done it.
Yeah.
I just didn't want to die. I didn't want to take a chance.
Well, it was peacetime. You know, I got out in '79. There was really nothing going on. I mean,
right,
we had Grenada in '82, I guess. But other than that, we're okay.
It's a little too scary for me personally. I would have loved to do boot camp or something like that, but the actual military and having that risk, you know, it's just too much of a risk for me. I don't think I'd want to put myself in harm's way that much personally, but. Honorable, of course. You know, anybody that's been in the military.
I really respect that.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, definitely. Before we go, and I know you have to get going.
Yeah, this is going way long. Come on, I got to go home. I'm hungry.
We're at 50 minutes.
Okay.
I know we have this.
50 minutes?
Yeah. 50,
oh, my God.
50.
No one's listening at this point, Tony. They're gone.
I'm going to listen to it. And honestly, it's a little selfish on my part, but I'll if I'm the only person that listens to it, I'm completely happy with that because I feel like this is a background for Gary O that I've never heard before. This is a side of you that I don't think a lot of people have ever heard. I know I've never heard.
You're a good interviewer, by the way.
Oh, thank you very much. I try. You know, honestly, it's not my main thing, but I do enjoy it, and I love talking to people.
Yeah.
And it actually is a great outlet for that because...
Well, you're a listener, too. You have to listen. A big part of interviewing is listening. You're a good listener.
Oh, thank you. I try. Sometimes I'm trying to think about, like, what am I going to ask next, too? Because... You know, you have to have something lined up because you don't want any dead air there. But usually it's pretty good. Whatever they talk about, I usually have something lined up in the background. But anyway, thank you very much for that. And now I lost my train of thought. So, here we go. So this is what I wanted. This is what I always like to ask everybody on this podcast. Actually, there's two questions, or you know, you can formulate your own answer on this. But the gist of it is, and this is the whole purpose for this podcast for me, honestly. I wanted to interview successful business owners and ask them, what is it that they wish they would have known when they first started the business? If they could have given themselves some advice back when they first got started in the business, something that they learned along the way that would really have been a huge help to them back when they first started. Is there any piece of advice that you can think of like that, or something you would have done a little bit differently?
I think I would have pursued ownership earlier. Mm-hmm. I perhaps didn't have the confidence. I'm not sure, but looking back, we could have owned a lot earlier. Mm. Yeah, I wish I would have pursued ownership earlier. I mean, I own this place, but I was 39 when I bought it, so that's pretty good. But I think I could have. I think I could have pursued ownership, but that probably would have taken me away from northeastern Connecticut, though. But.
Well, we are very happy that we have a Gary O. So thank you so much for being such a huge part of northeastern Connecticut and all the things that you've always done for us and will continue to do, I'm sure. And if there's ever any chance that you would like to come back on the podcast again and talk about something that you might want to talk about that's coming up, that maybe you need 15 minutes to talk about it, some sort of a new project that's going on, and you would like to just maybe even if you wanted to have Willie Biscuit, you and Willie Biscuit, you want to talk about something, and we can just talk for an hour about whatever you want to talk about.
Willie, once he gets going, you can't shut him up. It'll be a 3-hour podcast.
I actually asked him at the town hall a couple weeks ago. I said he was on his way to do something. I think he was just on his way out the door at the town hall. So he told me to get back to him. But I would love to have him on too because he's another person that doesn't get enough credit for all the things that he's done.
Willie is a gem. He is a gem.
Yeah,
and he's been a great servant, really, for the town of Putnam for what he does.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And And I've heard you give him praise and and say that one of the people that doesn't get enough praise in the area is Willie Bisquette. And I see him out there doing all the stuff all the time, everywhere you go. You see Willie Bisquette in the background, and he definitely doesn't get enough credit. And a lot of people don't even know who he is or what he does, really.
I can't wait for the day. Well, no, I guess I shouldn't say that because that might mean he'd be gone. But we got to name something after Willie at some point. There's got to be a field or something named after Willie. There has to be.
Yeah.
It would be a travesty for that not to happen.
It would be a similar type of a podcast that I'm having now with Willie. And I'd like to come up with a list of things, too. Maybe I can when I listen to this podcast, we can talk about the things that you've mentioned that you were a part of with him. So that's one that we can look forward to. But I'd also like to maybe revisit this on a yearly basis, or if there's something that we missed, I can add it on.
Something that we missed. Tony, I got a timer going here. We're up to 54 minutes. I don't think we missed that much.
Well, thank you so much, Gary. So how can people get in touch with you if people want to learn more about Gary Osbrey and WINY Radio? What's your phone number, your email address, your web address, Facebook page, all that?
Call us at the station at 860-928-1350. You can message us on our Facebook page, WINY Radio on Facebook. Our website is winyradio.com. My email address is garyo@winyradio.com. Or, this is a really unique thing, we could have a face-to-face conversation, which happens a lot. Sometimes at a restaurant or we're out and about. Some people still do that, face-to-face conversations, like you're doing now. Pretty good.
That's right. That's one of my favorite things about doing this podcast. I get to sit close to somebody. We have an intimate conversation about things that we never talk about. I really do love it. And then I listen to it when I'm driving around. I do 50,000 miles a year, so I need a lot of things to listen to. But thank you so much for being on the show.
This will knock off an hour.
I appreciate it so much, and I hope you'll come back again someday.
Thanks, Brian. Peace.
Thank you.